favorites for over 40 years.
Starting now on Prime Time, Guam marks the first traffic-related fatality of the year 2020 after a woman was killed in an auto pedestrian accident. Plus, family and friends continue to mourn a daughter of Guam after she was killed in the line of duty in the state of Hawaii. And with an oversight hearing underway, our Nestor Lecanto gets an update on the revitalization of the island's capital from the Hagåtña Restoration and Redevelopment Authority.
Hafa and good evening, everybody. One woman trying to cross the street in Mangilao became the first traffic fatality of the year as the mayor of the Central Village says he's trying to ask for help to make the streets safer, but he's not getting a response. Chris Barnett has our lead story.
Monday night in Mangilao, an all too familiar scene on Guam's roads, an auto pedestrian collision. The accident leaving one woman dead. She is the first traffic fatality of the new year. Mangilao Mayor Alan Ugata urging residents and those passing through his village to be safe.
It's very unfortunate that all these incidents are happening, and of course we also want to encourage everyone to be mindful, vigilant, and the use of crosswalks and the importance of all practicing road safety, whether we are drivers or whether we're crossing.
What we know about last night, a 57-year-old female died after being hit by a gray sedan while crossing from the Mangilao Mobile gas station to the Mangilao Plaza. Also struck a 59-year-old man who was transported to Guam Memorial Hospital for his injuries. Meanwhile, Mayor Ungata said his pleas to make the area safer so far have fallen on deaf ears.
I'm hoping and I'm pleading to this administration, because I've been putting in letters to Public Works, and I also emailed the governor's office. So, like I said, I've been heavily advocating for an additional traffic light in front of Payless and also the crosswalk. So I'm hoping that in light of this administration, something comes this way in terms of trying to at least alleviate some of the traffic, the heavy speeding.
The mayor says businesses and restaurants on both sides of Route 10 lead to people crossing the street along that stretch of road, which has seen its fair share of fatalities. The case remains open as crash investigators try to determine if speed, alcohol, or drugs were factors in the crash. For Guam's News Network, Chris Barnett reports.
Also tonight, still in shock is how a close friend of slain police officer Tiffany Enriquez says she feels, as Enriquez's friends and family are struggling to make sense of her death. Once again, here's Chris.
Hawaii and Guam reeling from the death of two Honolulu Police Department officers. One of those officers, Tiffany Victoria Enriquez, a 7-year vet of the HPD, and she grew up on Guam. Her friend Jennifer Borja Johnson says her bond with Tiffany goes back to their days on island in the late 1990s.
Tiff and I worked at Paradise Fitness back in '98, and so we have I've known her for years, and we do chamorro functions here in Hawaii, and we get together during that time. And, I was just talking to her not too long ago about our children graduating this year.
Enriquez killed in the line of duty Sunday morning while responding to a report of a stabbing in Diamond Head. She and another officer shot to death by a suspect identified as 69-year-old Jerry Hanel. He was reportedly angry about being evicted, and when police responded, Hanel began shooting at them. He's then accused of setting a home on fire, which in turn destroyed several others.
The entire Hawaii is mourning because not only is she, served our community. I mean, she was really active in the community. She's also a fitness competitor, so she was well known in that realm here in Hawaii. Well, I'm still shocked. My family's shocked. Like I said, my daughters go to school with her daughters, and my kids are shocked as well, and it's just heartbreaking.
Johnson said Tiffany was always bringing light into people's lives.
Her laugh is so contagious, and she's always smiling. She's outgoing. She has a beautiful heart. I mean, she's loving and caring. I mean, she's just an overall amazing individual. Very family-oriented. Just the highlight of, the day. If you're in her presence, she just lights up the room. She makes everybody feel comfortable, and it's just fun to be around her.
Tiffany is a 1999 graduate of Simon Sanchez High School in Jigo. Meanwhile, a candlelight vigil is planned for Tuesday, 6 p.m. Honolulu time. The vigil will be held at Kaimana Beach, just minutes from Diamond Head, the place where Tiffany Enriquez was killed. For Guam's News Network, Chris Barnett reports.
Now, Chris also did speak with Tiffany's daughters and ex-husband, and you can listen to that emotional interview on the KUAM podcast network. That's on Spotify, on SoundCloud, and on Pandora. Make sure to check that out. Well, family and friends of the slain police officer Tiffany Enriquez are warning the public about a GoFundMe campaign asking for donations in memory of Enriquez as well as Officer Kaulike Kalama. The two officers were killed, of course, as you now know, when responding to a reported stabbing in Diamond Head. A screenshot, as you can see now on your TV screen, of a GoFundMe account was posted on a social media account of Enriquez's ex-husband, John. He writes, "Please share this. I don't know who Derek Robinson is, and he has no affiliation with Tiff and our family," he says. "We did not start a GoFundMe campaign. Please respect our families as we mourn the loss of such a beautiful soul." Once again, that's John Enriquez, the ex-husband of Tiffany. The GoFundMe account in question was started by, again, an online user named Derek Robinson. In other news, the governor has quickly vetoed the bill to give the Joint Municipal Council the authority to appoint a temporary replacement for jailed Mayor Jesse Blas. Senators called a last-minute special session Friday with starting a debate with Vice Speaker Talina Nelson's measure to come up with recall election procedures. It ended up with the measure giving the council, which was appointed by Blas, the authority to name his successor. But in her veto message late today, the governor writes she agrees with the Legislative Legal Counsel that the bill, quote, encroaches on the core function of the executive branch. The governor does point out that prior to 2013, the established practice was that the chief executive makes the appointments to fill a mayor or vice mayor vacancy. She submitted a replacement bill to lawmakers to revert back to that previous system. An autopsy in other news was performed on the man and woman pulled from the lake at the Guam International Country Club golf course here in Dededo. According to GPD, it was determined the cause of death was due to asphyxiation by drowning, with the manner of death accidental. On the morning of January 10th, GPD and the fire department responded to the Dededo golf course, and the pair, who were registered guests of the club, were found in one of the lakes. Rigor mortis had set in on the male's body, and responders attempted to perform CPR on the female. Well, both parties did appear and agreed on the preliminary examination for jury selection in the second try of Mark Torrey Jr.'s case. This morning, jurors were beginning to be dismissed, and it was stated in court that the 160 more potential jurors are expected to appear for tomorrow's continuation. Torrey faces charges of negligent homicide and aggravated assault for the 2015 fatal shooting of fellow cop Albert Piolo. Now, in addition to selecting a jury, two pending motions await a decision and order before trial. Elsewhere on island tonight, a fourth violation was issued for Ray Hokog, who failed to appear for his court hearing and has also failed various drug tests. Hokog was indicted back in 2017 for the major DOC contraband scheme, and in September 2018, he entered a plea agreement and sentencing was pending other co-defendants' pleas. Now, near the end of closing the case, and Hokog, however, he will have to wait longer. He was sentenced to 1 year suspended jail time and ordered to check in with probation 3 times weekly for 1 year, with Judge Anita Sokola stating that since taking the plea, he is not reported for numerous appointments. The court ordered a bench warrant and $5,000 bail. Jason Dela Cruz Pangolin already has 2 family violence convictions under his belt and is facing more charges. On the 18th, the 34-year-old allegedly became angry at a pregnant woman after she fed 3 children before him. After throwing eggs out of a pan at the victims, he allegedly fought with the woman and kicked a car door, hitting the woman in the stomach. He was arrested and charged with 1 count of family violence, 1 count of assault, and 3 counts of child abuse, and 1 count of assault on an unborn child. Elsewhere, 40-year-old Francisco Martinez was arrested on charges of family violence and strangulation. He was arguing with the victim on the 17th when he struck her in the chest, causing her to fall to the ground. He then allegedly mounted the victim and choked her until she was about to black out. Police noted the victim had abrasions to her neck and collarbone, as well as bruising on her upper part of her body. Well, also on the 17th, police spotted a man on a moped reported missing the day before. 35-year-old Anthony Matagolay was arrested and charged with theft by receiving stolen property and unauthorized use of a motor vehicle. Before Matagolay was pulled over in Barrigada, officials saw him throw a glass pipe over a fence. He told police he knew the moped was stolen and that he got it from his brother. Also from court, Jesse Chavez told police he was on probation when he was pulled over in a black Nissan pickup he said belonged to his mother. He then told police he didn't have a driver's license and couldn't produce paperwork for the vehicle. And while the plates matched what he said, the vehicle ID did not. Officers then searched the truck and found a pouch with a revolver frame, 2 magazines, and about 60 bullets. Chavez is not allowed to have a firearm as part of his pretrial release with one of his cases. He's also not allowed to have contact with any of his co-defendants, with his passenger during the traffic stop being Bobby Valoria, a co-defendant in a 2018 drug raid case. He was charged with possession of a firearm without an ID, violation of a court order, and having a vehicle without ID. Elsewhere on Island today, the chief of police is answering questions from KUAM and provides updates on what the department is doing to fight drugs, the rape of a 14-year-old in Dedido, and a shooting that occurred on the back road to Anderson.
Police Chief Steve Ignacio wants to assure the community that the Guam Police Department is doing the best they can.
I am a member of this community as well. I live in the community just like everybody else.
But unlike everyone else, the chief is in charge of Guam's men and women in blue, tasked with ensuring the island is safe and criminals are being caught. From Jigo to Umatic, crimes being committed on the daily, and victims are still waiting for answers. For example, there's been no arrest for a shooting that took place on the back road to Anderson. In November, a pregnant woman was driving along back road when another car drove by, shooting her in the face.
We've come to a point where we believe that it was a random act of violence, and we are probably looking at a drive-by shooting, to say the least. We don't have any other leads at this point to pursue, so we continue to ask that the public, if they have any, whatever little information they have, if they know anything about it, please come forward.
Also in November 2019, there was the case involving a 13-year-old girl walking in Dedido, grabbed by a man and raped in the jungle. No arrests in this case either.
As we speak, we've also been in coordination, been doing some coordinating work with the FSM police because there was information that an individual may have fled, and so we're working with them to conduct an interview of the person of interest, along with other people that may have been involved in that incident.
In response to an inquiry from KUAM for an update on the investigation of a July burglary of a Tamuning home, police spokesperson Paul Tapao said all cases with the Criminal Investigation Division have been placed on hold because detectives were concentrating their efforts on the homicide investigation in Mangilaw. Juan Ugan shot dead right outside his house on December 11th, but 1 month later, no arrest.
No, we actively investigate as many cases as we can, given the limited resources that we have at criminal investigation.
KUAM asked if there was a shortage of detectives in CID.
I don't know the number of detectives right now offhand, but I do know that we are short there. I talked about this recently, that during my time when I was a criminal investigator, we had 24 people just in criminal investigation section. That did not include the other components of the division itself.
The chief, meanwhile, says that in line with the governor's Safer Guam initiative, they are working to bring more police officers on board. As for GPD efforts to investigate drug trafficking on Guam, Ignacio says that although the Mandanya Drug Task Force does not exist in name, it does exist in terms of it now being under GPD's Special Investigations Section. For Guam's News Network, Chris Barnett reports.
Meanwhile, Chris adds that Senator Pito Terlahi, who of course is the chair of the Legislative Committee on Public Safety, will hold a status update hearing on February the 5th. Now, this update comes on the heels of a recently canceled oversight of the Guam Police Department. Vice Speaker Talina Nelson had canceled the oversight hearing. However, she was off island on the day of it, so it was canceled. Well, speaking of hearings, one is underway at this hour on the proposed billion-dollar revitalization of Guam's capital. Senators have subpoenaed the head of the Hagatna Restoration and Redevelopment Authority, who the oversight chairman has accused of refusing to disclose details of more than $500,000 in contractual payments.
Authority Executive Director Lasha Kasil says it's a regrettable miscommunication.
Absolutely nothing for us to hide.
But Oversight Chair Senator Kelly Marsh Taichino says Kasil has been stonewalling for more than a year now over the planning and design documents. Kasil counters that they're still scheduled for board review in the upcoming quarter.
By law, working draft documents are exempt from FOIA requests. We weren't going to not submit them to her. We just wanted more time for the board to review them.
Marsh Titano also complained about a lack of transparency and published board meeting minutes. Kasil says that may have been true of the previous boards.
Since I have taken office, we have been in compliance. You can go on the OPA website and find all the audio recordings from our board. We have transcribed the minutes, and we are waiting. It takes a couple months for every board to go through the minutes with corrections and edits.
And senators could also tap into their own appointed commissioner, Nick Keswani.
So he's the representative and the channel that we go through, to communicate with the legislature. All those documents are in his hands.
Casil says she wants to work with the committee for the sake of the project.
I hope that, we can clear the air of any miscommunication and show her what work we've done and how far we've progressed, and that we're on track with our mission, and everything is above board. This project has been going on since 1997. It's been kicked around for over 2 decades, and there are a lot of private interests that would benefit from it not moving forward. To re-centralize the government would affect a lot of the private landlords.
And she believes the redevelopment of the capital city will benefit the people, and the top priority now is to get a master plan approved.
Sit tight. Primetime continues after this.
Get up-to-the-minute news, plus access to alerts, streaming radio, promotions, and more on your mobile device by downloading the KUAM News mobile app, available at the App Store now. Attention Guam business owners. Green Energy Solutions would like to help you save on your power bill. We supply various LED lighting, energy-efficient air conditioners, solar thermal VRF systems, and solar panels. You can count on our product warranty and quick turnaround and immediate response service. GESI has saved other local businesses over 80% off their power. Call us to see how much we can save your business. Call us today at 647-8111 or visit gesiguam.com for more information.
Half the day, I'm in the club.
Half a day, welcome to Two Lovers Point.
Half a day, I'm in the club. We're excited to introduce Cars Plus 2.0 as we celebrate our 20th anniversary. Every moment has led us to push the standards of the automotive experience, from our state-of-the-art facility to world-class products. And now, we're proud to launch Guam's first and only lifetime warranty. Head on down to Cars Plus and ask about our lifetime warranty. We're driven by you and driven to be better.
It's a special delivery to your inbox every week with your KUAM News Roundup, program advisories, and promotions. Sign up for the weekly KUAM Digital Digest today on KUAM.com.
Following 3 years of negotiations, the Navy has announced it signed an agreement to establish a discipline process for the commander of Joint Region Marianas to have the authority to implement prudent explosive safety principles on Guam. The agreement will have an immediate impact on billions of dollars in military construction activity, including the relocation of Marines from Okinawa to our island. The agreement reportedly stops extended delays for essential military construction and enables the military to save U.S. taxpayers hundreds of millions. Well, the annual island-wide point-in-time homeless count takes place at the end of the month, beginning at 4 a.m. on the 31st. It's a single day of the year. The Guam Homeless Coalition collects the data of homeless individuals and families in sheltered and unsheltered areas. Last year's results identified that of the 875 identified, 765 of those were unsheltered and 111 in sheltered locations. Now, along with the coalition, the survey is conducted by community volunteers serving as enumerators. The Salvation Army's Teason office will be the headquarters for the count, with teams leaving from this location throughout the day. This weekend was quite the historic one for the island's Catholic faithful as the investiture of the sacred pallium on Archbishop Michael Burns was held. The ceremony was confirmed by a visiting archbishop, the Pope Francis's representative, as the apostolic delegate in the Pacific. Now, a pallium, if you didn't know, is a 3-inch wide band worn around the neck and shoulders, conferred to newly named archbishops. It's worn over mass vestments and symbolizes an archbishop's unity with the Pope and his authority and responsibility to care for the flock. Also happening this past weekend, the governor and lieutenant governor, well, the acting lieutenant governor, I should say, that would be Tina Mooney Barnes, put pen to paper declaring January is National Slavery and Human Trafficking Month and National Stalking Prevention and Awareness Month. The proclamation was signed during a public awareness fair held by the Guam Coalition Against Sexual Assault and Family Violence in partnership with Sir Optimus International. The Human Trafficking Task Force, led by the AG's office, has also launched Stop the Evil, an educational campaign about the different types of human trafficking that plague Guam. The task force with the Department of Homeland Security have established a hotline where concerned residents can call to provide anonymous tips relative to human trafficking. The hotline is available 24/7 at 475-0400. In tourism headlines, GVB celebrated a very festive Hafa-Day pledge on Friday with Island Girl Power at the Holiday Illumination Park in Tumon. As the holiday season and the park came to a close, GVB hosted the event to continue pushing awareness for Island Pride initiatives planned for the new year. GVB VP Bobby Alvarez explains why Island Girl Power is an excellent example of what it means to properly share the Hafa-Day spirit.
I'm sure everyone knows what Hafa-Day is, and they know how to say it. Hafa-Day means many things. It means friendship, it means love, it means caring. And when you put that together with the Island Girl Power and their efforts, the caring part really exudes outward. They care about families, they care about people, they care about young ladies, they care about the community, they go out and clean parks.
The Hafa-Day Pledge is a cornerstone of GVB's branding program, which has grown steadily since 2009 when it was created. More than 940 businesses, government agencies, nonprofit organizations, and schools have taken the pledge, representing more than 44,000 people locally and abroad. In weather headlines, NWS is advising surf will build along northern and eastern shores this week with a high surf advisory in effect for Guam, Rototinian, and Saipan until sunup Wednesday. Large breaking waves of 7 to 9 feet are expected along north-facing reefs. A high risk of rip currents is also in effect for the islands through Sunday night. Dangerous and frequent rip currents are expected along north and east-facing reefs, and a small craft advisory remains in effect for coastal waters on Guam until sundown Saturday. Northeast winds and combined seas of 8 to 11 feet will pose hazardous conditions for small craft. Those mariners operating smaller vessels should avoid sailing in these conditions. And also a very positive story as St. Anthony Catholic School 5th grader Dion Tan and his little sister Tia were so sad to see how animals are dying from the fires in Australia, they decided to hold a donation drive at their campus. The drive in Tamuning kicked off this morning with the Guam Fire Department present to show their support. St. Anthony's principal Robert Crisosimo says it's the only private school that's launched a fundraising effort for Australia, and they're challenging other schools to do the same. Donations are being accepted from 7:15 in the morning until 8 from today through Friday, and for every $20 donation, you will receive a huggable koala until supplies last. Please stay tuned. Dave Delgado is coming up with sports.
Agent Alpha.
What's that? An Alpha Insurance customer needs a claim settled immediately? I'm on it.
Agent Alpha.
In the event of an accident, theft, or breakdown, each of our Alpha Insure agents are trained to go above and beyond.
This is my stop. There she is. Target acquired.
Agent Alpha.
Yes!
Guam is truly a majestic place with its sheer natural beauty, wealth of beaches, and culturally rich landscape. Unfortunately, Guam has a real problem with unwanted invasive species. Help us in preventing their introduction and spread. The coconut rhinoceros beetle, the little fire ant, the African snail, Siam weed. These are just a few of the numerous invasives on Guam. Follow proper custom procedures when bringing plants and animals into Guam.
Help protect Guam. Tell your family and friends about invasive species.
To report invasive species, call 475-PEST.
Shell's Million Miles giveaway is back, and we're giving 100,000 United Mileage Plus miles to 10 lucky winners. You can jet off to Japan, break away to LA, or even sightsee in Paris. So, how do you make a getaway? Just use your Lucky 7 card when you fuel up with 7 gallons or more, and you're automatically entered to win. Fuel up at your nearest Shell station today and start planning your new adventure. No purchase necessary. Some conditions apply. See store for details.
KUAM Sports is presented by Triple J.
What's up, Guam? Dave Delgado here for KUAM Sports. Thanks for watching. On the show tonight, IIAAG Boys High School basketball from Notre Dame, championship baseball between Guam and New Zealand at the Paseo Stadium, along with some bowling and soccer for you. Check it out. Royals trying to hit from the outside early, but the shot bounces off the iron. Nicholas Keefe pulls down the rebound and drives the other way past to Trayvon Jacobs, who takes it up for the easy lay-in. ND pressuring the inbound attempt by the Panthers. Nolan Sablon with the steal, outruns the defender and goes glass for the finish. Guam High looking to go inside, no room down low as the defense collapse. Nicholas Keefe spots up for the deep ball and hits for 3 of his 9 points in the game. Royals match the three-pointer on their next possession. Brandon Cruz, catch and shoot. ND trying to stay in the game behind their home crowd. Nice drive and dish in the paint to Jordan Meno, who takes it straight up for the bucket. Panthers get the win on the road, 50-41. Tobias Eccles led all scorers in the win with 12 points. Our 15-under boys national baseball team had a busy day on Sunday, having to play back-to-back games in the Oceania qualifier at the Paseo Stadium. The week-long tournament featured New Zealand, CNMI, and Guam. Team Guam's first obstacle to get to the title game was to get by the CNMI for a chance to get a shot at New Zealand, who already punched in their ticket with the win over the home team. CNMI scored a run in the top of the first inning. Guam bounced back to take the 2-1 lead. Heading into the top of the second, neither team would score until the home team brought home 2 runs in the bottom of the 6th to lead 4-1. The defense held as the boys took care of business against the CNMI, winning 4-1, and moved on to face New Zealand for the gold medal. Team Guam dominated the game with their pitching and defense, picking up the blowout win 12-0. Guam scored 2 runs in the second, 3 in the fourth, 3 in the fifth, and 4 in the sixth to seal the deal. Nolan Babauta pitched a great game with 8 strikeouts and contributed at the plate with 4 RBIs. Team Guam finished the tournament with 5 wins and 2 losses, along with this year's gold medal. The boys will be heading to Mexico to represent the island in the World Baseball Softball Confederation's U15 tournament scheduled for August. In bowling news, congrats to J. Leon Guerrero for winning the Guam National Bowling Championship at the Central Lanes Bowling Center. Leon Guerrero defeated Manny Tagle for the title 225-170. Cesar Villanueva went home with the 3rd place finish. Turning over to some soccer news, the Bank of Guam Strikers beat the Islanders FC 4-0 in the battle of the top 2 teams of the Budweiser Soccer League Premier Division. Scott Spindell led all scorers with 2 goals. Manhoban Lalahi defeated the Sidekicks SC 2-1 with a goal each from Christian Quito and Kyle Halahali. Quality Distributors FC defeated Lots of Heart Tattoo Heat 4-1. Guam Shipyard earned a win against the University of Guam Tritons via forfeit.
Green Energy Solutions, Inc. would like to congratulate GU Self-Storage along with Calvo Enterprises in doing their part by going green with a monthly power reduction by over 80%. Power consumption before installation was 39,700 kilowatt hours. After installation ended in 6,221 kilowatt hours, which resulted in savings over $10,000 a month. GESI also offers LED lights, solar thermal VRF air conditioning, and solar photovoltaics. Visit our website and let us help you save.
Guam's auto appearance specialist, Elegant Reflections, has been providing the automotive industry with professional detailing and car care products at its highest quality, from complete detailing, full interior detailing, exterior detailing, headlamp restoration, hand washing, seat and carpet shampoo, engine degreasing, undercarriage cleaning, paint sealant, fabric protection, paint oxidation removal, and so much more. Visit us at our new location. Call 646-5555 for an appointment. Elegant Reflections, Guam's auto appearance specialist, over 20 years of experience.
Lace up those kicks for the Payless Community Foundation 2020 Kick the Fat 5K 10K Run and Walk. Join us on Saturday, January 25th at Paseo Stadium at 5 a.m. First 5K and 10K finishers get Run Guam shirts and singlets. Stick around after the run for the Health Smart Wellness Festival, which will include a warm-up, cool-down zone, health check zone, adventure zone, and a raffle for a chance to win a $1,000 grand prize. Also, eat healthy dishes with our food vendors. Register now at PaylessFoundation.com or at your favorite Payless. It's the 2020 Kick the Fat 5K 10K Run Walk. Special thanks to our sponsors.
Birthday shout-outs are right around the corner, but first, let's get through regional headlines.
Hafa Guam, here are the headlines for CNMI. The Marpi Veterans Cemetery, a site that honors those who have served in the military and are laid to rest in a place they called home.
Our culture is so strong, and we're very close knit culture that there are certain things that we have to adhere to in accordance with the federal laws. But we also have to be mindful of our own culture.
Members of the CNMI Veterans Affairs and the Department of Public Works attended a week-long training in Honolulu to collaborate on improving management of the cemetery.
The training was actually a collaboration between Department of Public Works and our office, and mainly stemmed from discussion with the governor and the lieutenant governor in terms of addressing some issues, and also with our cemetery our veterans cemetery down in Marpi.
Some techniques officials took away from the training are:
we need to learn the etiquette, all the etiquettes of and the details oriented that's required for taking care and handling the of course the landscaping of the cemetery, the headstones, learning about the burials, the urns, also columbariums and all that stuff, also including learning the specific dimensions that that goes into when we're digging for the site to prepare for our loved ones, for our veterans.
Just one more way the Veterans Affairs and DPW are working to serve the veterans and their families in the Commonwealth. For more news, visit SaipanTV.com. For KSPN2 News, I'm Ashley McDowell.
All right, that was that. This is this, your birthday shout-outs.
All right, everybody, you know what our deal is here. We make people's days, so on this January 21st, we say happy birthday to Maya Nicole Santos. Maya has birthday number 14, and your shout-out is wishing you all the best this world has to offer and more. We love you, say Mom, Dad, and all your siblings and nieces and nephews. Also, happy birthday to Elise Gabriel Duenas. Your family is sending all of their love. And also, happy birthday to Vincent Cruz. This is coming from your family and the entire community of Barrigada. And also, happy belated birthday wishes to Dionisio Manila. Happy birthday number 38. Dionisio was born on the 19th, so everyone, hope you had the best day ever. And tell someone you love them.
You know the deal. Go to KUAM.com. Up at the top, click on birthdays. It is that simple to be part of the Cold Stone Creamery Birthday Club. We are way out of time, but stay tuned. Extras up next.
Closed captioning is brought to you by Green Energy Solutions, Inc. Visit GESIGuam.com or call 647-8111 for more details on how we can help your business save money. Health, home, and lifestyle. Presented by Paradise Fitness Center, changing lives since 1996.
Hafa day, everybody, and welcome to the show. I'm Jason Salas, and as is customary here, Nurse Jen Artero is leading off. She's got tonight's installment of Health Check.
Health Check with Nurse Jen is presented by Island Cancer Center.
Hello and Hafa day, Guahusi Nurse Jen.
Myokymia is a diagnosis that leads to involuntary and spontaneous spasms, quivering, or twitching of the muscles in the eyelid. The twitches are painless and harmless. Sometimes only one eye is affected, or it could affect both eyes. Most often it lasts up to about 3 weeks. Fortunately, eyelid spasms, twitching, or quivering frequently stop on their own without any treatment from an eye doctor. The causes vary but could be from high consumptions of caffeine, stress levels of high anxiety, extreme fatigue or dehydration, and magnesium deficiency from heavy use of drugs or alcohol. Medical professionals do not consider this a serious health problem, as it typically resolves itself. But in some cases, it can be a serious inconvenience. But sometimes you could make the involuntary eye twitching worse from just doing everyday simple activities, such as going to the beach. Unfortunately, Guam's UV sunlight rays are so strong that they could worsen the eyelid twitching. Also, cigarette or vaping clouds that accidentally seep into the orbital area, that's bad. Or excessive computer screen reading causes unnecessary straining and then could lead to more twitching of the eyes. And lastly, repetitively touching it, scratching it, rubbing it of the eyelids is a no-no. According to the Genetics Home Reference Guide, myokymia affects approximately 50,000 Americans yearly. The 3 most common causes are number 1, stress, number 2, fatigue, and third is high caffeine usage. Obviously, to speed up the healing process, stop or lessen caffeine intake, get at least 8 hours of sleep, and keep your eyes lubricated with some eye drops. Another recommendation is to apply warm compresses over the eyes to lessen involuntary spasms. However, it's time to see a doctor if your vision becomes blurry, you have unusual discharge, you start to feel pain in your eyelids, or you have facial drooping or spasm on one side of your face. I'm Jennifer Artero, registered nurse, reminding you, don't wreck yourself, health check yourself.
Health Check with Nurse Jen is presented by Island Cancer Center.
Stay with us, more's coming up.
At Island Cancer Center, we treat our patients and their families like our family. We have all been touched by cancer, and it is important to feel comfortable and secure under the care of our health professionals. You can count on us for skilled cancer specialists, the most advanced cancer-fighting technology on the island, and a commitment to caring for you or your loved one with compassion, respect, and empathy. Our family, treating your family.
Island Cancer Center, located on Guam Medical Plaza. Visit us at islandcancercenter.com or call 646-3363.
Oh, yeah. Nailed it. That's what I'm talking about.
You okay, Glenn?
Dude, I'm just so pumped we got all this McDonald's at such a great price.
Yup, it's back. 2 for $6 mix and match. Big Mac, Quarter Pounder, Chicken McNuggets, or Filet of Fish for a limited time.
Half a day, I'm Governor Lou Leon Guerrero. Over the next few months, 2020 Census personnel will be coming to your villages. They will be visiting your homes, collecting information crucial to growing our economy and improving our healthcare, education, public safety, and so much more. Please join me in participating in the 2020 Census of Guam, because together we can shape our future for a brighter tomorrow.
Start your day the KUAM way with our new streaming shows on Facebook Live each weekday. Here's your starting lineup. Mondays will give you a glimpse into our morning meetings with the KUAM news team. Tuesdays, join our group chat with Chris Barnett. Wednesdays, it's crime time with the island's law enforcers. Thursdays, get the latest info with Dave Delgado, who's in the zone. And Fridays, we get Fit AF, fitness and fun. And the best part, all our shows are completely interactive, so you're directly part of the conversation. Join us Monday through Friday starting at 9 a.m. Start your day the KUAM way.
Starting lineup is presented by Calvo Enterprises, Inc.
Welcome back, friends, to Health, Home, and Lifestyle. Transitioning between various forms of political status and the challenges inherent upon it was the topic of today's group chat live stream on Facebook with Chris Barnett and, as always, his guest host, the Executive Director of the Commission on Decolonization, Melvin Wanpat Bora.
I think one of the benefits of us being kind of behind the rest of the world, in a sense, is that we get an opportunity to really learn about the experience of other nations.
Right.
You know, what really worked for them, what didn't, what were their challenges, where were they successful. But I think that's definitely one of the biggest misconceptions about decolonization is the transitional period, you know, which is kind of like this mystery to a lot of people. I think
some people think that we choose a status, wake up tomorrow, and we're a state or we're independent. That's not the case, right?
Right, and especially with a status that is kind of to an extreme for a lot of people, like independence or statehood, right, is like there's a drastic shift in the way that we're going to do things. And so I think that's something that makes people very uneasy, you know, is are we going to be prepared for this change, this shift? And I think that that's the thing that a lot of people need to recognize and realize, is that the process of decolonization is not an overnight process. You know, it's going to take a while. And so when we decide what our political status will be, when we determine that, and we will have to negotiate that. Ultimately, no matter what status we choose, be it statehood, free association, independence, any of those statuses has to be negotiated with the federal government. And so in that negotiation, we will not only decide what it's going to look like, but when it will start to change and how we will get from point A to point B.
Right.
And so, for example,
sorry to interrupt, but I just want to, I mean, do you agree that when we negotiate these statuses with the federal government, like there's no cookie cutter statehood or cookie cutter independence?
No, there's
so
not.
We can pick and choose
Absolutely.
things that are beneficial to us.
Right, because even in the history of the admission of members into the Union, right, places that have become states like Hawaii and Alaska, the most recent admissions into the Union, there are different negotiations in how that process was going to work. And so no state mirrors another. And there are certain things that are kind of like the baseline, you know, in terms of like representation,
right,
the upper lower house, representation in the electoral college and whatnot. But in the sense that how things work within the state borders, you know, every state is different. Every state has their own constitution, their own laws that govern them. And so we would do the same thing. You know, if we were to become a state, we would have to negotiate, you know, what that's going to look like outside of the baseline. And the same thing goes with a freely associated relationship or an independent relationship. No matter the status, we have to determine, you know, we will know, okay, this is where we want to be, but how do we get there? And so we have to establish a period of time where we're going to transition. So for example, with the Philippines, they actually, before they were a U.S. territory, a lot like us, and then they became an independent country. But they didn't just become an independent country overnight. There was a 10-year period where they had it was known as their Commonwealth era, where they basically were under a Commonwealth model of government that was still administered by the United States, but it was done in a way where they understood, okay, at the end of this era, we are going to relinquish all of our control to the Philippine government, and then they will become independent. Now, that transition was 10 years. Now, keep in mind that the transition was interrupted by a period of war. And that was one of the criticisms of the Commonwealth era for the Philippines, was that
we're talking, Mel, this is like, what would you say again,
1938 to 40.
So interrupted by World War II.
Yeah, so, right. And so with that interruption, it obviously lessened it complicated the transition. And so there was not...
That's putting it mildly.
Yeah, absolutely. And there was not enough time for that was one of the criticisms, was that the Philippine government didn't have enough time to give a real transitional effort into becoming an independent nation.
Right.
But that being said, I think that there are still a lot of really great things that the Philippines did during that transitional period. For example, Quezon, right, one of the things he instituted was this thing called KINA. It was basically like the key to economic nationalism, which I think is really understated in a lot of our history, is that, you know, when we look at the Philippines now, I mean, just in our everyday lives, like how many people say, oh, we got a basketball team coming up, we're going to go order our uniforms in the Philippines, you know, or we got a wedding, we're going to go, you know, make the party favors and order it from the Philippines. And that's only possible because of the government's investment in industry. So during this KINA concept in 1938, basically what the government was trying to do was to really urge the citizens to create products in-house,
right,
and to invest in those industries. And so, you know, that was all in preparation to build the economy, right, to make it a powerhouse so that it can survive. Now, I think that the concept is right, and that's something that we would want to do no matter what political status we choose. Even if we become a state model, we should develop our economy. We talked about that before. And what I think is
and
really,
we shouldn't wait till that transition period.
We shouldn't.
I mean, there's a lot of things
right.
that we could.
There are a lot of things we can do.
Being colonized.
Oh, absolutely. And you know, I think that that's one of the things that we can kind of predict. You know, is like with the Philippines and even with a model like Palau, it's a freely associated model. Both of them struggled with the economic development and social development prior to the change in political status. And so we already know that that's something that we should be looking at, and that's something that I think because we are behind the rest of the world in this process, it gives us that advantage in the sense that when we go to the table to negotiate with the federal government, we should be mindful of the challenges of places like the Philippines and Palau.
So we can also take the good things that
absolutely,
they did and
right.
Hey, let's take this good thing from the Philippines. Let's do this one from Palau. Let's take this one.
Right, and I think that's something that we need to really take note of is how can we learn from that? What did they invest into their economy or into their government that was successful, and what are the things that kind of fell short? We know that the investment in their home-based industry was positive, but we also know that there was not enough of that going on, you know, and so and there was not enough social development. You know, that was one of the things that, I mean, obviously the disparity between the rich and the poor in the Philippines is a very big problem. But there are certain things that could have been developed prior to that transition that would have eased it. And I think that a lot of people in the Philippines would agree that more time to transition would have been beneficial. And so that's something that I think that we realistically, we can negotiate that. We don't have to say, you know, it doesn't have to be a 10-year period. It could be a 15, 20-year period. It's really up to us. And I think that that's something that we have to figure out. That's one of the things that I think is important about us looking at economic and social development now is, you know, what are the things that we can do now and what are our limitations? And once we identify those things and we figure out, okay, these are ways that we're kind of building and growing, but these are our challenges, we can address those when we go into the transitional period. We can say, hey, you know, the Jones Act is really stifling our economic growth. We want the Jones Act lifted during this transitional period so that we can kind of predict what our economy will be like when we're in a system that is free of the Jones Act.
Right.
And so, you know, there's a lot of different things that we can do. I mean, even with like defense, for example, one of the things that we have to look at here now is that, you know, one of the biggest fears is, oh, if we become, you know, freely associated or independent, and we're not a state, then what does that mean for our defense and the United States defending our borders?
I'll tell you what, Mel, I've been to a lot of countries that are independent and they have bases, military bases.
Right.
You know.
The Philippines was a great example of this, right? Because even when they had plans to transition into an independent country, one of the things that didn't happen was that they didn't dissolve the base, right? They didn't get rid of the base. And that was also one of the criticisms of those negotiations was that the U.S. kind of had one foot in and one foot out. You know, it's like, okay, yeah, we're going to get out of here, but we're going to keep this base and we'll save it for later.
Right.
You know, and so, and that kind of, some people kind of criticize that as that part of the negotiations in that, you know, it wasn't a true equitable relationship in that sense because the United States didn't really honor the agreement to its totality.
Sit tight, more is coming up.
Community Calendar is brought to you by Taco Bell. Whether it's your first meal or your fourth meal, we've got you covered. Taco Bell, live Más.
We are Guam, but what does it mean? The shape, symbolic of the proa's strength and innovation. It's the foundation of our character, our collective smile and open arms. The layers representing values of the Chamorro. Respeto Dzan Inapamalik, echoing through generations to come. This is the Guam brand. We are Guam.
What is Whole Home Wi-Fi? Whole Home Wi-Fi spreads Wi-Fi across your entire home. Pods plug straight into the wall. No messy cables. They spread the internet from your modem to every corner of your home at full speed. Whole Home Wi-Fi doesn't just make your Wi-Fi faster. It intelligently adapts to your environment and manages your Wi-Fi 24/7 based on insight like the number and types of devices connected to your home. Whole Home Wi-Fi, powered by Plume. Learn more at docomopacific.com.
Shop Guam Eve Festival is back with amazing deals. Download the free Shop Guam mobile app on your app store and present the discount code to your favorite Shop Guam vendors. Get access to hundreds of offers, including shopping, dining, and entertainment. Enjoy great deals now until February 10th.
It makes myself and it makes my team members very proud to work for an organization that has been on island for many years with its focus on reliability, dependability, and commitment to the communities that they operate in.
Matson's a great corporate citizen to the community.
We all benefit from any sort of environmental commitment we make. One of the ways that we do that is with our Adahi Utano program. There's action behind it, and so action breeds commitment.
With the Kaimana Gila coming to Guam, this brings a new age and modernization to the island.
It's exciting for me because it's a brand new ship and we can carry more freight into the islands. It just shows growth for Guam and Micronesia.
Matson would be nothing without its customers, and we hope to continue to serve you for decades to come.
House to Home, presented by Remax Diamond Realty.
Here's a situation for you if you would like the home of your dreams, and who among us would not, right? You've got a piece of property that was maybe bequeathed to you, it was maybe like passed down, inheritance, you got it from your spouse's family, whatever the situation, we all come across that, right? But it's on immensely pristine, picturesque property in Guam. You maybe have like a bubbling brook, maybe a waterfall. It seems absolutely perfect. However, the good folks at the Army Corps of Engineers say it's classified as wetlands already. So, I don't know the answer to that, so I'm bringing in Liz Duenas from Remax Diamond Realty. Hafa once again?
Hafa.
Okay. What do we do in that point? Because, you know, they are the experts, the Army Corps of Engineers. They've determined at some point that a piece of property isn't exactly residential, isn't exactly commercial. Mm-hmm. Technically, it's wetlands, and that's some sort of preservation.
Well, wetlands,
issue, right?
It's a designation, and it's usually where water sits, and there's certain foliage that grow in that area. Mm-hmm. And usually when someone comes to me and says, hey, I want to sell this piece of property, can you come out and look at it? When I go and it appears to be an area that collects water, I'm not the expert, so I would usually go to our environmental group, which is associated with the engineering firm next door. And I said, come out and kind of look at this. And they tell me, yeah, this is considered wetlands because particular trees or reeds are growing on the property. Wetlands normally are designated as wetlands. The problem with that, if you have a piece of property that is designated as a wetland, you can't really develop on it because there are rules and federal agencies that govern the use of that. So if you're buying something, I would say don't buy this because you can't build on it, and there'll be some issues associated, you'd be fined or penalized.
Even if I understand the parameters, I want to build like,
You
say,
know,
Swiss Family Robinson wonderful treehouse overlooking like that.
There is a process, but you'd have to go to the federal agencies, and people who have gone and filled wetlands or filled and violated some of the federal guidelines, there are penalties associated with that. So you want to make sure you follow the protocols and double check, what you want to do. But if
and to be fair, those rules are set in place, and the wetlands were identified as such because you may, if you build on it, you may be displacing flora and fauna or creatures that inhabit that. And,
even right now, people want to build or purchase a particular property. Now what they're doing is in the purchase document, they're stating the purchase is subject to environmental research, environmental studies, because even now, remember the old days when we used to do, my mom I know used to do this, the kalea, the fine shells that you find in the boonies. They used to make purses out of it.
Yeah.
Well, now they're protected species. And if you're selling property or buying property that has this, again, there's some federal guidelines that have to be conducted regarding that. So you can't build because it's there. They may have, and again, it's another process, because I know when they were building a bridge down south, they had to relocate, I don't know how many pieces, they had to relocate it to another property. Now, again, there's federal guidelines involving that, but you may want to ensure that it doesn't have any environmental issues such as species that would affect the development of that property.
Okay, now here's a theoretical, right? What if I understand I can't build a residential property on that? I cannot set up an apartment building, or I can't build a store, for my own benefit on that. However, there's a big money-rich tour company that comes to me and says, we've seen that property. It's exactly what we want. We want to build, we want to build a recreational exhibit around that and everything. We'll take care of all that stuff. Am I able to sell that to them?
As long as there's disclosure and they're acknowledging, they're accepting the conditions. For example, you're selling the property in as-is condition. So the sales agreement would say buyer is acknowledging these conditions, A, B, C, D, and that they're purchasing the property in as-is condition.
And now how much bargaining power do I have? Because I'm aware of those.
You're aware of it, but as long as there's disclosure and you're both in agreement with the purchase price, then that buyer takes the onus, the responsibility. If they want to develop it, as long as they're acknowledging all the different conditions, then it's up to them to go to the government entities and try to resolve whatever the issues are to do their development project.
And of course, if they're big business during negotiations, they're going to say, well, if we have to get all these clearances, we're going to take that out of...
Because, they may have the funds and the budget to do whatever's needed to correct the issue.
Okay, that is an option, though.
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
so the property it still has value.
It still has value. It's just a question of disclosure and then a potential buyer. So if I brought a buyer to you, we have to disclose it and then tell them there's certain things you're going to have to do to fit your needs, to, their purpose is to buy it to build a building. These are steps you're going to have to take. And then it's up to them to go to the government entity. Sometimes in the offer, the purchase is subject to that. So they're doing their due diligence, and then once they complete that, then you close the transaction.
And the whole reason we're bringing this situation up is that's exactly what the Walt Disney Company did with Celebration Florida way back, like in, the 70s?
Yeah.
And they just cultivated and they drained the swamp literally, and they made what's ultimately Walt Disney World down there.
Yeah. Well, in those days, the environmental laws and regulations probably were not as stringent as they are today.
But it is possible. And at the end of the day, it's like you can make a transaction off of this. And that's what we do here on the show, is we make sure that you get maximum value for your property. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
We'll see you next week. And we will see you next time. Thanks so much for watching. We enjoy bringing it to you. See you next time.
Closed captioning is brought to you by Green Energy Solutions, Inc. Visit GESIGuam.com or call 647-8111 for more details on how we can help your business save money.